Small inventions that changed the world. Part 1. Some of the most powerful inventions in history were never big machines, giant engines, or world-famous technologies. In fact, some were so small that people barely noticed them at first. But these tiny ideas quietly transformed daily life in massive ways. Take the safety pin, for example. In 1849, American inventor Walter Hunt was bending a piece of wire when the idea suddenly came to him. What he created was a small but brilliant object that could fasten clothing, hold fabric together, and solve countless everyday problems. It was simple, cheap, and incredibly useful. That is the magic of a great invention. It does something ordinary so well that the world can no longer live without it. Then there is the stove and chimney, inventions that completely changed the way people lived indoors. Before them, families often cooked and heated their homes using open fire in a shared room, with smoke escaping through a hole in the roof. Life was colder, smokier, and much less comfortable. The development of the stove and chimney made homes safer, cleaner, and far more practical. It turned a rough shelter into a real living space. A single improvement in how heat and smoke were managed made everyday life better for millions of people. Another invention that seems small today but changed human life forever is the watch. Early timekeeping devices were large, heavy, and not very accurate. They were carried in pockets or worn in other unusual ways. For a long time, they were more of a luxury than a necessity. Over the centuries, watches became smaller, lighter, and more reliable. Eventually, the wristwatch became popular, especially during the First World War, when soldiers found it far more practical than a pocket watch. What was once a luxury item became an essential part of daily life, helping people keep track of time with ease and precision. And then we have the buttonhole. It sounds so simple, but imagine clothing without it. Long ago, clothes were fastened with strings, ribbons, or decorative pieces, while buttons were used mostly for appearance. The buttonhole changed that completely. It gave buttons a real purpose and made clothing easier to wear, faster to fasten, and much more practical. Sometimes the smallest design improvement is the one that changes fashion forever. The can opener is another perfect example of a tiny invention with a huge impact. Today, opening a can feels effortless, but before this tool existed, people had to find difficult and often unsafe ways to get into canned food. The can opener made preserved food far more accessible and convenient. It helped transform the way people stored and ate food, especially in busy homes, during travel, and in times when long-lasting food was essential. And finally, there is the thermos. This clever invention may look ordinary, but it solves a very useful problem: keeping drinks hot or cold for a long time. Whether it is coffee in the morning or cold water on a hot day, the thermos makes life easier in the simplest possible way. It is one of those inventions that quietly proves how powerful practicality can be. These inventions may not look dramatic, they may not be flashy, but that is exactly what makes them remarkable. They remind us that progress does not always arrive in giant leaps. Sometimes it begins with a bent piece of wire, a better way to warm a room, a smarter way to fasten clothing, or a container that keeps a drink at the right temperature. Small inventions often create the biggest changes.